entertaining episode of Merkelchen.
Well, that's always a good way to start the show. That's how we do it. Let's see. Everybody off of mute. Amazing.
It was entertaining in a lot of ways. It wasn't just Merkelchen who was entertaining.
It was 40-plus aged gentlemen doing an episode of Jackass, apparently.
Is Merkelchen over 40?
To a degree.
Is he over 40?
I think he is. They're all like
the same age, right?
Like Brisk, Merkelchen, and Mittens are all pretty much the same age.
Yeah, I think they're all like 42 or 43. They're just 2 or 3 years behind me.
Well, they say 40's the new 30, so,
They lie.
By the way, I'm going to do my impression as we open the show here, folks. My impression of Caleb crying because his beard was too itchy and he had to shave it up.
Oh my god.
You totally should
we
not
start
have
out with bullying?
You totally should not have said that on a Saturday, Caleb.
Okay, that was my impression. I don't see a beard, Caleb.
No, I just removed it. It was horrible.
Did you at least go somewhere where you get like the nice, the straight razor and the warm, shaving cream and the whole deal?
We don't have places like that really in Copenhagen.
Are you serious?
At least I don't know where they are.
Like a barber shop.
That's because nobody else is shaving like you are, Caleb. It's Denmark, the land of full, lush beards, except for you.
Yeah, all the big boys are braiding theirs, so I'm putting pearls in them and shit.
Eric is very low. I'm really low. Seriously? I'm saying the exact same.
I don't know.
To you guys, I don't know. We'll move it up a little bit for the stream. We'll do it. Brisk is guilty of goon fucking.
Oh, it's because he didn't take the challenge at the same time as the others.
Wait, Weebla jailed again? Was he ever unjailed? I mean, he was unjailed.
He had to be guilted into it. Well, he had to be guilted into it, but I think a continuation of this is I think Fountain Frank should show what how to do it.
Okay.
To Brisk.
Fountain Frank should show Brisk how to goon fuck? What?
No. He should.
I'm sure Frank could be good at it, but
wow,
he's good at everything he puts his mind to.
2 chips.
I mean, he's Frank.
Taking the one chip challenge. That's what.
Ah.
Oh yeah. So yeah.
You guys are weird.
We're weird?
Yes. Just
I don't know why. I don't know why you say that. I'm confused.
Well, you have to admit, if I just said Caleb was weird, you'd know why.
I would no. I would be like, well, I mean, in what particular way are you specifically talking about? Because there's a
see, that's the question, really. At that point, it's okay. Well, are we just talking in general, or are you trying to narrow it down to a specific kind of weird? Because Caleb,
I can already hear how Arendis would start that. Let me count the ways in which you are weird.
I'm sorry, I can't count that high.
I just want to point out, Caleb didn't want to come on camera because he said he was having a bad hair day.
And then I had a bath, just for you guys.
I mean, is it often that you bathe, like every day, or or just like once a week, just for us? What is it?
Well, use your imagination.
I really don't want
to.
I mean, no. I mean, I'm afraid. I'm just saying, you have it wet and slick back. It still looks good. You need to ponytail that, though. That would be kind of cooler. But yeah.
What, a Steven Seagal thing?
Having a bad day,
No, I was actually. I couldn't sleep.
Seagal is really big in Europe these days.
It's gonna.
I think he's big everywhere. He's going for the fatty look.
Exactly which way you were going with that
was
one.
Interesting. Talk again, Caleb.
Well, I was just about to say that I had one of those stupid nights where I had insomnia, and then I ended up watching 4-6 hours of documentary. That thing, what's it called, Titan, about Wall Street's history, and it's actually really fucking good. It's like semi-dramatized, where you follow all the big boys all the way back to mid 19th century. So that would be J.P. Morgan's dad, not Jack, the other JP. So yeah, it basically takes you through the entire history from when America was a bandit state when it comes to finance, and all the way up to the modern age. So I didn't get to sleep until like 6 o'clock. So I woke up at like noonish, and I decided that I was going to push my bath till after the show. But you guys insisted, so I went and had my bath.
Yep. Okay,
Just trying to think of
Spartan.
well,
are we a little more even now?
I mean, we should be.
We should be. We're actually all the same. But I was wondering if
closer.
my mic was a little... Yeah, closer? Good. Okay, yeah. My mic's a little bit further away here. Usually it's right here, but it's over a little bit more right now. And I am at the top of how loud I can be. Unless you want me to talk louder, which I can do. I'm probably talking a little softer than normal, too.
At some point, I may need to tell you how to deal with that kind of stuff.
Yeah, someday,
yeah.
because you might know. And,
Yeah.
Good. Thank you. Alrighty. So,
I was trying to think of like a really oldie worldy name, like first name that begins with J. That would be J.P. Morgan's, like, that would be the J of the J.P. Morgan back in the 1800s.
Yeah.
Deuteronomy.
Deuteronomy, really?
Did you take up Hebrew now?
I don't know.
Would you like my wife to come in and talk to you in Hebrew? Is that something that's comforting to you? Does it put you to sleep?
It actually is. Does she do the Aaronitic blessing by heart?
She can do lots of things.
Can she do the Kodesh?
You're talking to a Methodist here, all right? I mean,
Wait.
words come out.
Wait. So which way are you going on the Methodist schism now, Eric?
What do you mean?
Well, apparently there's this breakaway group of Methodists who object to some of the United Methodist Church's practices.
Well, the United Methodist Church in general are a bunch of boneheads anyway. I just happen to be confirmed Methodist. That's all. It's not like I go to church every Sunday.
Okay.
So, I mean, you got to look at our household, right? We've got some Jewish people, we've got a Methodist, and we've got a Catholic, and then we have somebody who says, "What's the Bible?" Okay, so I mean that's our house.
Now, when you say you've got a Catholic,
yeah,
I would like to ask why the walls are speaking to you.
So, when you say you've got a Catholic, do you mean like you've got a like actually practicing, like observes all of the incredible amount of rigmarole Catholic, or you've got somebody who is baptized and confirmed and just feels incredibly guilty about everything?
Somebody who would do all the stuff if he could drive himself.
That sounds like the same fucking picture are in this.
But since he can't drive, he doesn't get to go. So.
I see. Okay.
And by the way, it's just something he researched on his own, decided he wanted to do.
Okay.
Oh, Wild Dirk appears.
Wild Dirk.
Good evening.
Hello.
How are we all?
Not too shabby.
Going today. You guys all good?
We're all good.
I was finally able to make my cocktail correctly.
Oh yeah, it was a beautiful cocktail. Beautiful. I need that recipe. Also, what is it? What is I gonna say? That's the beauty of being old like me. You can sit there and say, "I'm going to say," and then when you go to say it, it's like gone.
Huh?
Yeah, exactly. I don't know if we have a Ukrainian group in Goonswarm.
I think we've got one, maybe two.
Probably. Right.
Possibly not entirely Ukrainian, but like we've definitely got some Ukrainian people.
All I'm going to say is Mila Kunis is Ukrainian, and she's a fine representation of the Ukrainian women.
I know that it's got a few Ukrainian, like I think a Ukrainian corp, and obviously some Russian dudes as well. Yeah.
Okay, so Briz says he
It's all
ate.
chill.
By the way, I don't know the whole chip thing. I'm assuming this is potato chips, right? All right.
It's like a corn maize thing. It's like a big Dorito covered in chili powder.
Maize. What is that in? Do you ever see that movie Grown Ups? I make a poultice with maize. Yeah, you got to watch Grown Ups. If you haven't watched Grown Ups, you got to watch Grown Ups. Great movie.
Well, I think honestly, like considering Briscoe's actually in channel, like I think.
Apparently, there were some hot peppers associated with this chip.
Oh,
like I'm not gonna lie, Brisk. That was a bold display of goonfuckery. Like he ate his chip in 2 parts, like 20 minutes apart. So
hot chips, huh?
Yeah, I think Found Frank should show you how to do it, Brisk.
Sounds like he's still suffering though. So
yeah, there's some suffering.
I know Merc is still suffering today.
You know, a bathtub full of milk might help you out there, Brisk. Just saying.
All right, Cleopatra, calm down.
I'm not talking about his silky smooth skin because I have no idea.
Hey, better Cleopatra than Liz Bathory, okay?
There you go. Woohoo! Mountain Frank needs to take 2 chips. Strathy, yeah. I think the history of this show and its many permutations, right? There was one night, and see if you remember it. See if you remember it, McLeod, where Scythe was doing shots for dollars on some.
I think I remember.
Some fundraiser we were doing for somebody, right? And he said, "Pay me X amount of money, and I will just chug the rest of the bottle." That was funny.
Yeah.
Oh dear.
Yeah. Because then, like,
and he did
20 to 30 minutes later, he came out with the line. What was it? I'm too drunk to zombie. Was the thing of that form.
Yeah. After he was quiet for like 20 minutes, right? Like he was.
Yeah. He got a little bit quiet. And sort of like that. So good.
You know who needs to do that chip thing though, and I think Brisk will agree with me. Asher.
So what were these chips? Help me understand for those in the audience.
Any man who finds mayonnaise too spicy.
You know hot sauce, right? You know they use like the super ridiculously fiery hot sauce. They use like ghost peppers and stuff.
Yep.
Think of like the ghost pepper stuff that goes into that, like ground down super fine and then dried, like essentially it turned into dust, and then you take a enlarged sized Dorito and you just basically coat that in that stuff. Wow. That's basically it.
So yeah, my oldest son, they used to eat all those hot peppers. In fact, we have a whole shelf in the refrigerator in the door that is all various hot sauces. Carolina Reaper stuff. All right, we'll have to see. One shot. Like 2 million Scoville units. Well, let's put it this way. If there are any Brisk, I mean, you ingested this. Does it kill COVID? I just want to know. I mean, is it potentially a cure?
By killing the host.
I can't imagine there are any viruses or bacteria in his whole digestive tract that survived something like that, right?
Yeah, but that's bad.
Millions, like all of them are dead. They're like, woohoo, I surrendered.
I mean, it's one way of solving the problem.
It's like chemo, but in
problem.
It's like chemo for your body, but for temperature. Like you could visually see Brisk just get redder and redder
sweating and stuff.
redder
Oh, I can
and
imagine.
redder. It was like I was there going like he's just like his head's just gonna pop in a moment. It's ridiculous.
Okay, so
I'm just gonna come out and say it though, Brisk.
yeah,
Like, for you and the other guys, total respect. A full size tortilla dusted with Carolina Reaper. That, yeah, no. Like one of the most ridiculously cruel things I've ever done to somebody was set out cheese dip, set out queso, and not tell them that it was ghost pepper queso, and watch them like dip into it and just take a
oh
bite.
yeah,
and
big.
oh my god! Because like I just totally didn't think to warn them, but yeah. So a fucking full chip of Jesus, no. Props, dude.
I mean, wow, that's. I don't think I could do that. There was a time when like hot stuff was like the thing, but once you're in your 50s, it's kind of like I'm good.
Oh man,
I have to
I'm
ask
reading the
Chris this, but
website.
we can carry on. Yeah, I have to ask Chris this, but we can carry on afterwards. But like, did you find anything that you did that helped in any way, shape, or form, or was it just, did you just have to like grab on and ride it until the end? I mean, I know you're still carrying on with it at the moment because like it's.
I'm sitting there going, why didn't you
It's
follow
worked out,
that
though.
with Why didn't you follow that with like a buttermilk or a Pepto chaser, man? So you just like saved yourself on the way out. I don't know. That's what I would have done.
I'd have been like, give me the yogurt.
So, first up, you cannot buy it anywhere outside of the US.
Like, can't buy what?
This chip that they were eating. You cannot buy it outside of the US.
Okay.
It has this warning: do not eat if you are sensitive to spicy foods, allergic to peppers, nightshades, or capsicum, or are pregnant or have any medical conditions.
Jeez.
Keep out of reach of children. After touching the chip, wash your hands with soap and do not touch your eyes or other sensitive areas. Seek medical assistance should you experience difficulty.
Yeah, basically,
breathing,
when you have
fainting,
it,
or extended nausea. Like,
if you're gonna eat this, put on the latex gloves, eat it, and then get the latex gloves off.
Did.
Yeah, they all did.
Don't eat it and go take a piss. That'll be a bad thing.
Wow. I mean,
well,
actually, what they
said about capsaicin is that it's addictive and you do build up a tolerance. So if you keep eating those Brisk, you'll get used to them.
Yeah, but maybe smaller doses to start working up. Kind of like that iocane powder thing.
Kinda, yeah.
But
Carolina Reaper and scorpion chili peppers as well, apparently.
Yeah, that'd be kind of crazy. I'm sitting here going, what is it they said? I saw a show once and they actually proved that like a pale ale lifts that oil that gets in your tongue and all through your mouth that burns. So a pale ale has the tiny bubbles in a beer to lift those off, and so like a Rolling Rock that will help you, Brisk. Well, would have helped you, but given the point that I don't think it helps you on the other end though. Woo.
That's amazing, Eric.
He brings
a use for Rolling Rock.
Hey, by the way, so Rolling Rock in that you get anywhere, like used to be like back in the day. This is a long time ago, before Budweiser owned them, right? When they were actually made in Latrobe, PA.
Back in the 90s, Rolling Rock was my jam, man.
So I had a good friend. He was clerking in DC, and when I would go visit my girlfriend down there, I would always bring him a couple cases of Rolling Rock that I picked up at the Latrobe distillery because it is night and day in quality, right? So that's where you get it. Even if you got it there and took it home for a month or two, it was still great. But yeah, Rolling Rock, loved it when it was made in Latrobe. But nah, alas, they sold it to Budweiser. Now it sucks, so I don't drink it. Beer in a green bottle. Don't keep it in the sun,
Yeah.
But yeah, because, and by the way, back then they didn't send Rolling Rock to DC, so the only way to get it was for me to bring it down to them.
Really? That's weird.
Yeah, that's why I made the trip, because it trust me, Latrobe isn't exactly where I live. It is a little bit of a trip, and then to get back on the highway to get down to DC, it's also a little trip. So it was definitely
no. You're in Pennsylvania. Everything's right there.
Everything's right there. It's just right there. Like, I can just go out and grab some cheesesteaks from Philadelphia for lunch. No problem.
Exactly. Exactly.
When we have the Little League World Series, just a hop, skip, and a jump over there. Happy Valley for Penn State games.
I mean, in all honesty, though, like, Latrobe is a hell of a lot closer to you than Philly is.
Oh, Latrobe. Oh, yeah. It's, what is it? 40, 45 minutes, maybe an hour.
Yeah.
Philly's 6 hours. Trust me, I know I've made that trip many times.
Yeah, I've driven end to end in your state more times than I care to admit.
Let's put it this way. When I used to pick my son up at college over there in the Philadelphia area, the toll charges on the turnpike both ways were cheaper than a round trip Amtrak ticket to send him home. Were more expensive than the Amtrak ticket. Sorry. The Amtrak ticket was cheaper. Round trip.
That's actually not surprising.
Yeah.
But dude, just the experience of driving I-80.
Oh, I don't go 80.
Yeah. Here is a rock. Here is a tree. You will repeat this view for the next 300 miles.
And if it snows, you're going to die.
Be patient as we neck down to one lane. By the way, if you're caught 5 miles over the speed limit, it's $90, and then it just explodes exponentially from there because the Amish might be on the road.
Well, also, then you have to add on the what is it, the $20 or $40 fee for the Johnstown flood restoration.
Other roads super fucking straight as well?
No.
Mm-mm.
Oh, okay.
No.
At least there's that. Like, they were super fucking straight, and they were like, basically feels like you're just repeating yourself every 20 seconds. That would just get.
This isn't really fucking straight. You're on the side of a mountain.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, you are on the side of a mountain.
Like this is we're doing construction on I-80 for the next 50 miles, so we're putting both sides into one group.
And the 50 miles just moves every year.
Yeah, exactly. Like, it doesn't.
And when they get to the end, they come back to the beginning and start it over.
Keeps going because it's 300 goddamn miles.
We kind of have a joke here in Pennsylvania. We have winter, then we have pothole season, where, by the way, they'll swallow your SUV. They're so big. And then we have construction season. I mean,
and through it all, there's, oh look, the guy 3 cars ahead of me just hit a deer. Fuck.
Have you ever seen a tractor trailer hit a deer though?
Yes.
It's just like pink mist. There's nothing.
Have you ever seen one hit a moose?
No. You don't have.
Have you ever seen a train hit a cow?
Oh.
Ooh.
That happens here once a year.
Like, the cow looks at the train and says, chicken. I mean, wow.
I don't think the cow gets to react.
Yeah, the one time I saw a semi hit a moose, there was nothing he could do about it because the moose took one look at the oncoming truck and said, "All right, bring it, bitch," and started charging.
Oh, started charging. Okay, that'll work.
That truck never moved under its own power again.
Oh, wow. My when they hit the deer, they just keep going. It doesn't seem to do any damage.
This is a hell of a lot bigger. And
moose. My dad called me this morning. He had 20 deer in his yard. He goes, "They're eating everything." I'm like, "Yeah, too bad you don't have an AK. I mean, you could have dinner for half a year." But yeah, he had 20 deer in his yard. I don't know.
that here, but it's a small yard and there's a lot of development. So
yeah, he has.
I can't really imagine there are a whole lot of deer really left on the island, but apparently there's some.
Huh. The yeah, we got a new refrigerator, and then the next day we noticed that one of our landscape lights was like knocked over and broken. Right, so went to the handy dandy Nest Cam, and found out it was a deer that got spooked and just ran into it, wiped out, and got up and kept going. It's amazing.
Damn. Fucking hardy little thing.
Yeah, well, it's funny. They'd take off the front door in order to get the refrigerator in, which is not unusual. But the dude placed it over the side, and then we had one of those globe lights, and he like shattered it because he didn't realize it was there, moving the door around. He's like, "Oh my god!" He cleaned it up. It's like, yeah, I'm not even gonna worry about it. It's like $10 at Home Depot. I'm calling up and yelling about him.
You're not too concerned.
No. I said, I'll just get that globe next week. 3 weeks later, there's still no globe there. My wife hasn't noticed, so we're good.
Do you go past it, look at it, go like, I have to do that at some point.
Well,
and then like...
Well, you got to go. And then you got to pick one out, And I really want to put a recessed light there. So do I buy the globe or just put the recessed light right in? Right? I don't know. We'll see. We'll see how we do it. But I got to do it sometime. I
haven't got to that level. I haven't got to that point of my my home decoration yet.
Yeah.
I'm still like, well, we need to, so basically remove that door frame completely and go and make that a wall. Like that's kind of at the stage that we're at the moment.
We are at the rip that bulkhead out, rip that half wall out, rip that wall out, rip that wall out, do 4.5 bathrooms, completely redo them, redo the kitchen, redo the flooring downstairs except for my office. We're in heavy remodel everything. It's 25 years old. We've been in this house for 25 years, right?
So basically what you're saying is, like, when you call it a remodel, you're actually in demolition mode.
No, we're into please give me a quote, sir mode. So yeah, we're gonna. We have an order. We're gonna do it. We have a guy that's gonna do it. He's just working on the quotes, right? So we're gonna start one. You do one bathroom at a time, right?
Yeah.
So because you need some bathrooms with 5 people, and so we'll do that, and then the next is repaint the foyer, and it's 3 stories high. So basically, because it's vaulted, that'll be the next one. And then we will redo the living room. We've put a fireplace in, all kinds of stuff. A lot of work. And then we'll do the kitchen, and then we'll do the flooring. Downstairs. All of it. Probably cost us $8 million.
Damn.
No, it won't cost that much.
He hopes. A lot.
Oh, it's going to cost a lot.
Get the wrong builders. Yeah, well.
No. On average, just a mini little bathroom thing is probably $25,000. Replace a tub, put flooring in, $25,000 they charge. So it'll be around there. I got a guy to do it a little cheaper, but we'll see. Wood isn't cheap these days. Wood's cheaper than it was a while ago, but yeah. We're thinking hardwood floors all on the first floor, except right in front of the door.
The issue with hardwood flooring is you have to oil it, and that's going up in price too.
Yeah, the Rancor. You can get termites. Hold on, let me mute because I am gonna mute.
You make it sound like you got termites like specifically, like you intentionally did it.
Sorry, I had to sneeze there.
Oh,
Sorry,
you can get termites, but they're not exactly the most, sort of like, homely creatures.
They're bugs. They're around. I mean, you're more likely to have carpenter ants around here. Just get your house treated. No big deal. They spray some stuff outside. About now's when I get it done too, so that guy should come around soon. But yeah. The important thing, we took the important step. We got the generator last year. So. And that was a business expense. That was terrible.
Yeah, I need to get solar thermal put in this ASAP.
Did you say solar?
Solar thermal, yeah.
I can't rationalize the payoff on solar panels. There's
because
no
the payoff.
Probably because your utilities are quite low in terms of pricing.
Yeah, we're like 14, 15 cents per kilowatt hour, including transport costs and the electric cost.
Well, yeah, but like if you're remodeling anyway, you may as well add it and then start selling back to the grid at certain points.
Yeah, but there's no ROI on it. I mean, by the time we've run some numbers. The cost of the installation and the cells themselves, and we have a good advantage where we are. We sell into the grid at retail, and the amount we sell into the grid we can pull in wholesale in the evening, right? So it's a good deal, right? The challenge is, even adding all that in, you pay X amount a month for electricity, okay? And when you add in the cost of the panels and everything, the money that you get in, and still the electric that you draw, you don't change that number. And in 30 years, you got to buy new panels anyway, right? 20 to 30, depending on how well they last. So there's no saving. There's no savings. You're just
shifting. Why you sell before then?
Sell what?
That's why you sell before then.
I'm not going to sell this house. Our next step is a smaller house.
Between me and you.
Yeah. Our next step is a smaller house.
I don't need a 4-bedroom house. Like,
move every 10 years. Yeah, I mean, there's an advantage in moving every 10 years, but we've already been here 25, pretty much. Everything's going to be paid off soon. So, and we do have, we have 6 bedrooms and kitchen and a half, and full basement and all that stuff. So if 20 years, we're going to sell and move to something smaller. So, because we'll have no kids here. So yeah, and this house has more than doubled in value in the last 25 years. So pretty good. And we haven't remodeled or done anything to step it up. So time to remodel and step it up.
That makes sense.
Yeah, I mean, we don't have granite countertops and things like that. So we'll upgrade into all that stuff. So yeah. All right. So what we got to any Eve stuff today? Any Eve stuff?
Eve still exists.
What?
Put your hands up if you have an active Eve account.
You're right. I mean, no. I mean, anything.
I don't know at the minute.
By the way, Rancorch, we forgive all the your misses and the there and all that stuff. So nothing's going on.
Nothing.
There's, I don't know, people are doing silly things in Esoteria still, I guess.
Silly things?
A little bit.
It's a silly place, Emma.
Yeah, CCP are redesigning some of the sort of like career agent missions and stuff.
Extra Squishy is quitting.
Squishy quit. So
Yeah, there's that
even
as well.
Squishy has enough of this. So
yeah, that's actually like big news. Extra Squishy deciding that enough is enough. That's
even memeing about
a thing.
the game is now difficult.
Yeah, Squishy did a live stream a couple days ago, I think. Basically, like handing out a bunch of ISK and doing giveaways to friends and things, and he dumped a bunch of ISK on something happening this weekend, I think, as well. Where was the thing about Squishy?
By the way, as I look at EVE Offline, it looks like we're hitting new lows every week. That's definitely a trend you like to see, especially in game population in the stock market. So,
apparently he's dumping a bunch of ISK on the Marbles stream today. Does anybody know what the Marbles stream is?
Is it? I think it might be like a mini game kind of thing that you play with your audience. Essentially, it's like marble racing thing.
Okay, cool.
I could be completely wrong. But, yeah.
Why is it that watching marble racing is like you want to do it? I don't know.
Yeah, the EVE Offline slope is not looking healthy for the last kind of 2 weeks.
I mean, I got to say, I think the Olympics get better ratings than EVE Online, and that's not saying a lot.
It's not quite at the level that Michael Bolton 3 would call a delicious slope.
Delicious
but
slope.
Like, it's getting there.
Yeah, well, I'm sure they'll say, but we're getting 1 million new signups every day, so it doesn't matter.
Yeah, right.
Look, guys, the daily active user count is still strong. It's fine. There is nothing. Look, just because we see the concurrent users doesn't mean there aren't lots of people playing EVE Online for 5 minutes at a time to play Skill Queue Online, I guess, maybe.
Yeah, Skill Queue Online. I see our 24-hour max is 25,474, which I think were the number of people in some of the biggest fights in the last war we were in. So, okay.
Yeah.
So we've equaled that for the entire server.
Brisk has a good point in Twitch chat that, there are some real life circumstances that are probably having an impact on things. We're not going to delve too much into that live on air, but things like not being able to pay for Plex and rubles is something that has been discussed. I've seen discussions about that on Discord today.
I mean, in all honesty, if you have a friend who can't pay because of a particularly awkward real life situation, like help a brother out.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, like you can still pay. You can still pay for a subscription via in-game currency. Like just help your friend out. And you can also gift Discord Nitro. You can also gift Discord Nitro subs as well. Like if they're concerned about losing Discord Nitro, for example. I've heard people be like like that. It's a thing, all right?
Is it?
It is.
Yeah.
People like using emotes everywhere, so
Are we going to skip the rant of why the game is dying, or do we want to dig into that?
You got on your soapbox pretty well last week. Do we need to do it again?
I'm just
at some point. I think at some point we should just make a compilation video and just when it gets to that point, just and roll the compilation video of like every single time that we talk about why the game is dying.
Mac?
No, the suggestion isn't a volunteering of doing it. Don't conflate the two. Good try, but
Well, it's just funny because I'm entertaining myself playing Lost Ark, and I've been watching all those Uber lead face rolling gamers try to explain how to play it, and it's like I finally realized they're playing it wrong. They're literally not playing. They're literally not fucking playing the game. They're just racing to end level. It's the equivalent of starting playing World of Warcraft for the first time and then just jumping straight into the crash card thing and just swiping and going for a 110 level character and then skipping all the years of content that's actually available to you.
You don't play like in Lost Ark. You don't play deep. You play wide.
Well, it's just that I realized that the reason that they keep saying that, oh, it's so difficult to get all the materials and stuff, is like, yes, because you are skipping seriously all the content, like all of it.
There's also another very, very unfortunate thing. So the people who made Lost Ark, like they envisaged it as, you know, you play it and you create a lot of alts. The game is designed for you to have a lot of alts, and what that allows you to do is it allows you to play all of those like restricted, you know, content more often, and you can transfer all of that, like you know, all of that stuff that you get from it. That allows you to go from to basically advance your characters to tier 2 and tier 3.
But you're not supposed to have all those alts until you're done, right?
No.
You're kind of you can, of course, if you want to play that part of the game, but then you're basically playing what is designed to be what you do when you're kind of at the item level gates and at end level stuff, right? Until the next expansion. So fundamentally, you're already playing it wrong because you're not playing all the completionist content, all the actual missions, all the storylines. You're basically just skipping through everything because even if you're semi-rushing, which is what I am doing, but I'm trying to be a little bit completionist. I am at 200 hours and I don't feel like I've been slow. I feel like I've been semi-rushing. So you're not going to reach... If you actually play the game, you're not going to reach those things where you require alt characters and all that shenanigans until you've played for like 300 plus hours.
The funny thing with that is, like, why do you feel you need to get to those at that point? Like, why do you, like, the question is, like, why do you feel like you need to rush? Like, I know that you don't, Caleb, because you're playing through the content, like, somewhat completionist style. But, like,
I kind of want to get the stories, because I can't sit there and go like they do, like, oh, the story is really bad. It's like, but you clearly haven't played it. Seriously, because you haven't played it.
That comes from people who, like, the story is bad. Well, what do you know of the story? Well, I don't know. I just, I just hit G, like, all the time to go through the story. Like, so you don't read the story or watch the cutscenes.
I mean, the story isn't anything to write home of, right?
But again, no, okay, well, it's an MMO and it's quest-based, right? That's like saying that World of Warcraft, the quests are bad. They're not. They're really fun if you get into it. Like, some of the most memorable moments for me is when I was running around with Reeve and we were basically teaming up on basically clearing zones. And some of the quests in World of Warcraft are hilarious. I really love them. Like, the most memorable one is the one with the three guys telling lies about how they killed the dragon. It's just so funny, right? And there's so much stuff like that. And I know people that just buy a 90 or 100 level character, they're going to skip all of that. They never experience those zones. And it's a little bit the same in Lost Ark. Sure, the overarching story might not be that inspiring. It's a little bit like everything else, and they are stealing and copying from everything. I just had my Doctor Strange moment in the storyline where she starts warping space, and it's like, I've seen this before. This is very, very, very much similar to something I've been watching in a Marvel movie lately, right? And But the quests after that, all the small side quests, all the roster quests, all the whole thing with where you unlock it by charming and all that stuff. These people skip that. It's like there's nice stories. I've been running around doing things like saving penguins and reporting about it and stuff.
You're missing the reason for it. There's a reason people are rushing to get their equipment.
They like to see numbers go up.
No, it's not that they like to see numbers go up. It's because the developer have said that they want to bring Europe on the same level as Asia, content-wise, and for that you need the equipment. Right.
But again, it's still a fallacy. It's like saying that to play World of Warcraft expansion 1, 2, 3, 4, yes, you need to play through those things, and there's skip mechanics. But the way that people are playing Lost Ark now, because it's basically like it's launched at this 3-4 year old state where the latest content requires all this eye level stuff that they then just skip through all of it. Exactly like skipping levels, and that's fine. But they don't.
Caleb, what about people who like to get challenged in games? Because
that's fine, but you're not playing the game. You're jumping straight to a different aspect of the game.
You're telling me because I like to go to the challenging part of the game, I'm not playing the game anymore.
But why are you saying if you're leveling,
experiencing the game,
but even the same way. But I'm also saying that
we've gone down this weird ass rabbit hole, and like it started off with the whole kind of like thing of like, you know, why is the story, you know, terrible, and basically conflated it to the fact that, like, you know, well, there's a lot of reasons why somebody may not like the story, but if we're moving on to, you know, the reason why people don't like the story is because they like challenging stuff, like, then we've basically like finished that question, because clearly they don't care about the story if all they're looking for is the challenging side to the game.
That's
fine. But the point is that if you're playing World of Warcraft with heirloom gear, there's no challenge. Everything below where the latest patch is going to be easy mode, and this is exactly what they've done in Lost Ark. They've made it easy mode all the way through if you're just blitzing, right? But if you take your time and actually enjoy the story, it's actually a fairly decent game. And I admit it's not challenging. That's only when you push yourself and basically try to do gear level that is above you. But that's how the game is designed. That's how many games are designed. If you keep trying to out level an MMO, then it's easy mode. It's slower, but it's easy mode.
And if you're really looking for a challenge, yes, PvE mode in Lost Ark, it like can be extremely challenging with like some of the ridiculous raids that you can be a part of. Like, you know, the degree of you know, multitasking that you need to do in order to actually like beat some of that stuff is ridiculous. But like, yeah, you do need to get there. But if you're looking for a challenge that isn't PvE related, that isn't cooperative related, like, there is PvP, and you don't need to grind 1,000 fucking, you know, hours into the game in order to actually be competitive at PvP. Like, it literally does not require you to, you know, to grind.
And don't get me wrong, I like difficult games. I like a challenge once in a while, but seriously, if you design games based on ultra hardcore gamer segment, it's like, this is not going to be a popular game. It's not going to make you fucking money. It just won't.
You do realize I'm playing Elden Ring right now, right?
Yeah, and I know.
You're multitasking.
Elden Ring is in the process of its, like, you know, hype sort of numbers right now. Come like 3 months time, let's talk.
Yeah, but it's a single player game.
And again, but it's fine.
That doesn't mean that it's like, you know, that it's not at its hype sort of numbers at the moment.
Yeah, sure.
And again, you being good at games, I can applaud you, and I can say that that's all great, and I'm impressed. But the actual investment in the game developing studio is going to suffer if I cater only to people like you.
But Caleb,
by the way, shout out
this
to
game
Death
only
Rat.
exists because they catered to the people who like difficult games. Otherwise, like, we wouldn't have these games.
It's still a mistake. Business-wise, it's a mistake. If you want that challenge, there should be difficulty modes, and you can just turn the fucking thing up.
You know, there's many people arguing that, and From Software is laughing in their faces.
And that's fine, and it's just gonna hurt their fucking bottom line. That's just a fact.
No, it's their artistic freedom, right?
Yeah, it's up to them to design a game how they want to design it. Like,
also, difficulty in a game is not just about turning a slider, right? You can design difficulty in many other ways.
Yeah, like, you know, it doesn't just need to be hit points and that kind of thing. Like, and
I look at it this way:
yeah.
Everybody plays games differently, and everybody enjoys games differently. And when game developers try and determine how you should play their game, that's when they actually start losing folks. Right?
That's when you turn into CCP.
In the same vein, you shouldn't have someone like Caleb telling us how games should be.
Well, it's not me telling you. I'm telling you that the market is going to tell you that whether you want 100,000 or 500,000 players or 5 million, that's really going to be dependent on how you design your game.
Yeah, but not
it's all on their
difficulty.
Analysis. Yeah, it's you know, I think, you know, the market tells us, you know, who's going to be successful or not, and those game companies can do what they want. Just like we say, CCP can do whatever it wants, but, you know...
Well, CCP is the other way around. They basically killed their USP to try and compete with other games, and other games are 10 times better.
Yeah, that's
they've eroded their USP. The thing that you know made like Eve such a great game for communities of players is because it had a whole variety of different play styles and different, like, you know, people who could, you know, enjoy playing Eve the way they wanted to play, and CCP just eroded it. Like, you know, it's there's so many times where it's like, oh well, you know, that gameplay style's gone. You know, oh, you know, that those people had that play style. You know, that
they'll just
you know
do something else.
They spent their time creating that, you know, doing that to create money, and CCP just basically nuked it out of the game. You know.
Yeah, I mean, again, that was you know, the beauty of the design of Eve, right? It didn't matter what your playstyle was, because guess what? We had it.
It was just it was open to allowing more people to approach the game their own way, rather than forcing you down these, like, fucking, you know, down these pre-prescribed train tracks.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, but at the same time, right, that a game that comes off the shelf and out is a certain way, it believes that a certain segment's going to give it its return on investment, right? So, you know, games
you pitch it a certain direction
way is, you know, they've got to fit their income expectations, right? And if not, then they're going to change. But, you know, again, Eve had it all and kissed it all away.
Yeah, I mean, this comes back to, you know, extra squishy quitting, right? He had a particular playstyle that he really enjoyed. He loved the kind of, like, solo PvP kind of gameplay. He'd go into a gate camp with a battleship and see what he could do, and, you know, sometimes he'd win and sometimes he'd lose. And steadily, CCP have kind of been pushing people to be
not doing gate camps.
Not doing these sorts of things that he would then go and fight. So slowly, with the economic changes, with the industry changes, with the way CCP tried to nerf everything across the board to tackle things like carriers and supercarrier supremacy, you know, the surgical strike patch that they are now rolling back slowly in little bits and pieces. It's...
Well, I think what I'm saying is that
options and the freedom to play the games that they want to play anymore.
Well, what I'm saying is that when it comes to things like difficulty, and there is such a thing as a difficulty that is not fun, at least for the average fucking player. I'm a decent player, I'm not good, but let's say something like Horizon Zero Dawn, right? If that had only launched with its hard mode, I would never have played it. I would literally have rage quit because it is so punishing, and the fact that you could actually turn it down and enjoy the story is why I love that game. And I have only quit one game because of Can I finish? I've only quit one game ever because of difficulty, because I just didn't see the point. Well, actually two. Darkseid, the Giga thing way back in the olden day, I never got around to actually finishing that because it was so horrible. And recently Contact, because I can't get past one of the first fucking areas. And I've tried so many times and I don't know why I'm so fucking bad at it. So because there's no level setting, there's no way around it, I will never experience that game, and I'm pissed that I actually spend money on it. And when game designers do that, they are literally making sure that I will never buy a fucking game without difficulty setting ever again.
But that is just... Caleb, let me give you an example. In Dark Souls, you don't have a difficulty setting, right? You don't have a slider that you can set to easy or hard, right? But you can still set how difficult the game is going to be for you by choosing the playstyle. If you go for pyromancy, for example, the game gets easier, and that is intended to be that way. That is the design of the game, right? You don't have a difficulty slider, but you can choose the difficulty.
If you just wipe me continuously without any solution or workaround, and I can't find anything, not a guide, not anything, except it says get fucking good, then I'm just gonna rage quit. And again, this is back to, I'm pretty sure that Arendis remembers Darkseid, because that was horrible. You basically had to do everything on time, and you just kept dying, waking up, and not knowing why the fuck you died.
Wait, it was horrible, so I was supposed to remember it?
It was the Giga game, the HR Giga.
Typically, if it's horrible, like people,
it was bad.
Wipe it from their mind.
It was, one of those things where everyone knew it was horrible, so nobody played it. Sorry, dude. I didn't touch it.
Also, Dark Souls wise, like, is there something like I'm a noob from in terms of Dark Souls? Like, does it specifically tell you that like playing the game with in this different class makes it easier?
No.
Well, that's an issue.
Like,
how are you meant to know that? It's like Mortal Online. Like, how are you meant to know how to fucking create things? How are you meant to know how to do certain things? Like,
you go to the community.
But again, this is a similar attitude to what I hear in EVE Online, that there is no room for casuals, and we shouldn't fix the game to be more friendly to people that might not have that level of mastery that the current EVE player base has. I think it's a mistake, and that's merely from a business point of view. It's just dumb as a business to have a corporation that is supposed to make fucking money, and you don't want to include more players by changing some of the basics of your game. That's just dumb business.
You know,
you can't just say, "Oh,
really
then just fuck off."
Some of us really don't like the hand-holding that AAA games do.
No one asks you to play that part of it.
Well, you don't have. Yeah, I mean, you don't have to do the stuff where it's holding your hand. You can. In any situation where there's a tutorial, you can turn it off.
No. I would call a mini-map hand-holding.
Oh.
You'd call a mini-map hand-holding?
I call a mini-map hand-holding, yes.
Okay.
I would call quest markers hand-holding.
Okay. I'm just gonna go ahead and
I'm amazed they give you
and tell you, like, if you want to try and, like, let's just look at some of the zone design in games these days. All right, like, if you want to try and navigate some of these zones in any sort of reasonable time without a minimap, good luck.
Wait.
I'm doing it right now.
Wait, Soth, you mean they gave you a game that was pre-coded already? Like, fuck, Jesus Christ, some hand-holding going on there.
Seriously.
Like, I mean, they should just be giving you, like, a bunch of textures and models. And like,
and which game are you
build your own
navigating without a
game
mini
and
map
then
right now?
play it.
I'm playing Elden Ring. It has no minimap.
Uh-huh.
And it has no quest markers.
Right.
It's an open world game.
Uh-huh.
you can play hardcore mode in a lot of games that don't,
So,
give you a mini map or markers.
So you're playing a game with relatively simple zone design, yeah.
No.
How well does it do vertical? How much does the area double back on itself vertically? Where you're going over
it
and
depends.
under the same area.
You have open areas that are vast expanses, but you also have dungeons that have a lot of verticality.
Now, when you say a lot of verticality, do they go underneath themselves? Like, do you have like underneath 3 or 4 stories?
Yes.
Uh-huh. And how big are they?
They typically last for like 2 hours to 5 hours of gameplay.
That's all?
For one dungeon.
That's all?
Yes.
So they're small. Okay.
I don't know if
amount
if
of
I would call them
experience to know
small. Like there are games that you can finish faster than one of these dungeons.
Sure, but I wouldn't call any of those games AAA rated MMOs.
This isn't an MMO. It's an open world single player game.
Oh, so it's single player.
Yes.
That just makes it easier because, like,
you don't have to worry about other people getting in your way. You don't have to worry about any of the other bullshit.
Well, you do have invasions.
Except it's single player, so they're what? NPCs? Big deal.
No. There are player invasions.
That doesn't sound single player to me.
Definitely doesn't.
It is hard to categorize, okay?
Are these invasions very much instanced? Like,
what do you mean instanced?
Like, I gather, considering Elden Ring is like predominantly, as you may say, a single player game with a with lore. With a degree of a storyline, because
yes,
with a storyline associated with it. I mean, it has to have a fucking storyline in some way, shape, or form.
Yes.
Fucking George R. R. Martin, worked on it.
Yeah, that's
so
what
there is a storyline component.
The storyline.
So invasions. Do these invasions occur inside of the storyline at certain aspects, certain points of it? So is
no,
that
not
particular
points,
point?
But it is set in the lore, right?
Are those areas like segregated out from like the main, sort of like realm, I guess?
No, there are certain areas where you are safe from them, and you can also set yourself up to. No. I mean, you could see it as hand holding, I guess.
Well, I guess you'll have to stop playing that game now.
Yeah, fuck you too.
That's what we were after.
But
okay, we're good. We're fine.
Yeah,
seriously,
yes, we've completed our objective.
Took you long enough.
Well, we had to string you along properly.
Yeah. Took you 20 minutes to get there, though.
That's fine. It was 20 minutes where we weren't talking about Eve, so Dawn left. She was here. She didn't say a word. She was waiting.
Just was listening.
Oh, she's back!
Hey, Dawn.
Hello. It's my birthday weekend.
Happy birthday.
Oh, happy birthday.
Yeah, my birthday was yesterday.
Oh, happy belated birthday.
Yeah, we're just doing a little girls' weekend shopping, so I was like, I'll just pop in while we're checking into the hotel.
We should set a ping out telling people that it's your birthday, and they should DM you and congratulate you.
It won't do you any bit of good, because I'm not home at my computer, so
That's okay.
We'll wait until you're home.
We'll send it out next week.
Like, but my birthday was last week.
That's okay. We'll tell people that it was last week, and then we'll tell them to send you at least one DM and email for each day they missed.
Okay. We had an amazing ice cream cake last night. It was so good. It was a Ritter's Heath Bar cake. Oh.
Oh?
Okay.
And now the stream can't hear anybody.
Has anything happened in Eve this week? I haven't played Eve all week, so that's why I'm just curious.
I don't know. I don't know. The most invested I got in Eve this week was going to the movies.
At some particular point, we need to use like some kind of online Ouija board to be able to determine like what happened in Eve this week.
Yeah, because like,
that would be awesome.
Did any of us actually play?
I logged into Sissy.
Oh, okay. I logged on for my points, but like, I just can't be bothered. There's no point in mining. Like, Moongoo is it, and
I mean, there never was a point of mining. That's not new.
Though apparently some groups are doing gas mining fleets. Saw that coming up.
Oh, you liked it then. It was good. Oh, nice. Oh, damn.
Oh, there's this candy maker that I like to watch on YouTube. It's called Hercules Candy, and they show you like doing old-fashioned like candy canes and sugar pulls and chocolates and stuff like that. You should check them out. They look really good.
Okay, Dawn.
Left and switched, right? So anyway, we got the Clark cups, a lot of chocolate, not a lot of Clark bar. So we'll have to try the actual Clark bars. Then I'll have to send them out to you guys so you guys get Clark bars.
All right, Dawn. I took your advice.
What? What did I advise you?
Hit up an online Ouija board.
Okay. Okay.
An online Ouija board.
First question I asked is, did anything happen in Eve this week? I got the answer yes. Then I asked, what is happening in Eve this week? Got the answer not known.
So something happened, but no one knows what it is.
Now I'm asking it, what happened in Eve this week?
This is like a magic 8-ball or something.
Basically, yeah.
Did a group
I'm
attack
letting it
another
give me
group?
the answer now, so hang on a minute.
Yeah, I'm going to be leaving here in about 4 minutes. We're going to
we'll have an answer by then.
Well, we're going to a botanical garden, and then we're going to a mystery dinner theater tonight, like a murder mystery.
That sounds like fun.
Yep.
Okay, the answer to what happened in Eve this week is maybe later.
That's a magic 8-ball. That's not a freaking Ouija board.
It's a Ouija board. It spells it out. I even put the link in staff only. So screw you.
That's a Magic 8 Ball.
Other than that, the only thing that we're waiting on right now is for all those changes they suggested to come out, correct? Like all the battleship changes and jumps and compression.
For the record, I just asked it, is Pappy Pappy, and it said no.
Well, that thing is clearly wrong. Toss it out. Get new spirits to guide you.
But I asked it, will Pappy Pappy, and it said yes. So maybe Pappy's simply not pappying right now at this moment. Good question.
Pappy.
Let's ask.
You know, if it said test, I'd laugh. Has test done anything? Is test even up to anything, or are they just wallowing away over there in Outer Passage or wherever?
No idea.
I'm curious. So, since we are kind of almost agreeing that Eve is a little bit in a slump right now, what is, in your opinion, Arendis, what is the Jesus feature that could actually save Eve? Does it have any?
I don't think that a Jesus feature is what Eve needs.
It needs daily activity.
I think what Eve needs is consistent long-term focus on making sure the players have the tools they need to do stuff, and making sure those tools are things that the players can access, can understand, and yes, okay, making tools that new players can actually understand and not completely fuck up a bunch of fucking times for no apparent reason may be considered hand-holding by some people, but honestly, at this point, Eve needs more players or it's gonna die.
But I mean,
I'm still
going to advocate here for involving the community more with new players.
Okay, but here's the thing. There's two parts of that become problematic. The first question is how. How do you involve the community more with new players? Especially when, by CCP's own numbers, the majority of EVE players never engage with the community.
Yes.
They just don't. So,
and CCP, in my opinion, never really tried to change that.
Right, but how do you get them to?
Because CCP is scared, like
what
you need to.
What do you think the community has to offer the people who don't engage with the community right now? What do you think they need that they don't have?
What they need is, for example, the corporation browser needs improvement.
Okay, but the players don't necessarily need that. The browser needs that. I mean, there are people out there.
That does help the players. And
hold on, Losoth. That's an assumption about these players wanting to be involved with the community, and not having ways to do it.
If you don't want to be involved with anyone in EVE, then why are you playing an MMO?
A lot of people like to play MMOs solo and just, occasionally babble in local or something, or in the general channel in other MMOs.
Sure, but that's usually people who have an understanding of the basic mechanics and not complete new people.
Right, but we're not talking about complete new people. We're talking about the majority of EVE players who don't engage with the community. Because that's who you lose.
And that's
the other half of the
fine.
Here.
I'm only talking about guiding new players a bit more in a way that's actually meaningful and not this overhauling of the MPE like twice a year.
But if we're guiding new players, how are you guiding new players in a way that connects them with the constructive, intelligent, helpful people and doesn't connect them with the dudes who are out there to fuck them because that's how they get their jollies?
By first of all,
I promise you, a greater percentage of the dudes who get their jollies by fucking over new players, a greater percentage of them are looking for engagement with new players than the people who would be helpful.
Yes,
the people who would be helpful aren't focused on new players.
Well, for one, you can't say this group is going to help you, that group isn't going to help you, because that amount of like that like you have to basically teach them to be cautious about stuff.
Yeah,
you have to teach them
that into the MPE. How much does the MPE actually teach you about what corporations and alliances do in EVE? Because as far as I remember, it doesn't even mention them.
Doesn't do much on that front.
Okay, but what do corporate?
It's
no. See,
it's no. It's not. It's not
You're
about
being
that right.
completely unfair because
NPE has been right over the last 5 iterations. The last 5 iterations of the NPE have all been fine. They've all been great introductions to an online game, and then you dump them into EVE.
Yeah.
But the core problem in EVE Online is still the fact that what the existing player base has managed to lobby for CCP is to basically remove the value of tier 1 mats, right? Basically just nerf it out of existence so the value of a new player is near zero. That is literally the equivalent that CCP has done. They have made the game unplayable for new players by devaluing what a new player can actually bring to the game.
Okay. I mean, I
don't know what Caleb's driving at.
I see plenty of frigates, destroyers, and cruisers in use, and those all use T1 materials.
But here's the thing: I don't think that continued efforts for new players is what's needed to save EVE at this point. Because
and it hasn't been since
continued efforts for new
2016.
Yeah.
Right? Like, I hate to say this, but we've been banging the drum on a lot of these things for a while.
Yeah.
The fact that we're on NP 6.0 since 2016 or 6.1 or 2 or whatever you want to call it, because they've got this new mining thing that they're adding to it. Like, it's not been necessary for a lot of years.
Look, Dirk, I just want to give insane props and really major kudos to everybody at CCP who have been redoubling their efforts with each NPE, because
I know,
honestly, that's a hell of a lot of effort now.
Every single time they talk about the new NPE, they're
at least
redoubling
half
the
of them have to be operating at like around 4,000% of their capabilities. So
But do you get the point that I'm trying to make? When you remove the utility of the things that new players can actually supply to organizations, basically when you remove or reduce the utility of something as fundamental as titanium, you are basically making it easy mode for the veterans, and you're making new players worthless.
Well,
but Caleb, your view.
Hold on, like how is Trit not useful now?
They've just reduced the fucking consumption of it.
Okay, so it's reduced in consumption, but is it reduced in consumption for smaller hulls or just for bigger hulls?
For smaller hulls, but the point is that the overall utility and the value of what is the equivalent of tier 1 materials and tier 1 job in EVE Online has been reduced.
From new players.
Well, a lot of it, of course, came from alts, but it doesn't change the fact that what is the value of a new player and why do you want to recruit him? And if everything can be done by fucking brute forcing with alt accounts, and there is no overhead, no actual upkeep, no strain in the system, you can just add new industrialists to your infinite slots. You can just add more fucking hulks to your existing Hoover fleet. Like all these things that have been made easy mode and casual is just killing the fucking game.
Caleb, I've got 8 minutes before I have to go. Shut the fuck up for a sec. You want to know what the value of a new player is? I'll tell you what the value of a new player is. A new player is here. He wants to play the game. He's got a lot of room to explore, and he's got a lot of, hey, that's new to me, and oh my God, that's a Titan moments ahead of him. And yes, older players can do all of this shit with alts, but you know what? If I'm running things with like 15 mining alts, and I haven't logged into EVE in 6 months, all 15 of those alts haven't logged into EVE. The new player's value is the new player is there. And the veterans increasingly aren't.
Yeah, I mean,
if you want to keep your organization alive, you need new players. Their simple value is in the fact that they exist and they want to play the game.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know what Caleb's been ranting about in terms of new
I'm ranting about the same thing as I've been doing since CCP started down this path. And the point is, they are
the industrial opportunities for new players.
They are straightening out everything, and every time you guys are basically commending them for this, you don't see that this is exactly why you get less and less people engaged in EVE, because it's been made streamlined and easy.
Caleb, seriously, I don't have to take this shit from you. 2 years ago, you were the one who continuously defended CCP and their decisions.
Seriously.
And now you're telling we were the guys who were wrong. Are you fucking kidding me?
I've got an article from... Right, Caleb, if I have to pull out the article I wrote in 2019 talking about the various different things that they were, like, fucking up, and just generally, by the way, the general question of who the fuck is CCP Manbjorn, which is a question that we have asked multiple times on this show, and I wrote about in 2019.
We are so on record as not being cheerleaders here, Caleb.
You don't get to go in on that one, buddy. But like, I mean, in terms of the whole shit you were just spewing about, you know, new players and like new player accessible stuff and Tritanium. When I was building my Titan, do you know where I got my Tritanium? I got it from Spodumane in Nullsec that I mined in Rorquals. Like, I wasn't buying Tritanium from people.
And you can gang up all you fucking want. The point is that I have heard you guys applaud the whole new compression method, which is basically fucking, again, more of the easy mode. Getting rid of every fucking...
I think you're confusing the show that you're on.
Yeah, this is the wrong show, Caleb.
How is compression screwing new players when the guy sitting there in a venture can still do it? But because the guy in the Orca is helping him.
Again, it doesn't matter. The point is, if you remove grain, you remove the value of labor.
New players, tell me how.
Yes, it is. I am just trying to explain this to you. I'm telling you, when you remove the value of labor, you are removing the value of a new player.
But
because you just have
the value
it's
of
instant.
Labor. Caleb,
it's instant and streamers, and it's long.
What you are complaining about is not some hit on new players. What you're complaining about is a reliance on more players. You're complaining about a lack. You're complaining about a lack of. We need more physical bodies in seats to do the same thing.
You need to increase the value of labor
built around alts.
And no, that's not. I don't care about the alts. The point is,
that's exactly what you've been bitching about. Oh, you can just add another Hulk.
Because that is the solution. Because there is no effort to it, and the point is, it all comes down to the value of labor. Okay. And if labor is worthless, it is literally impossible for a new player to offer anything except his fucking simping to any organization in the game.
But
simping. Now new players are simping. Fuck.
No, this is not about simping. What a new player offers to an organization is the fact that there's somebody there who is engaged and wants to be there, and they're not just marking time.
And the thing is, if they change this in the way you want, it wouldn't fucking matter, because it's not this one narrow thing that's wrong with the game. What's wrong with the game is the vast quantity of things, right? It is not one change that was bad. It was not 5 changes that was bad. It was years of bad changes and neglect of the game.
Yeah.
But again, I'm just telling you that this is consistently the same fucking solution every single time. They are lowering the barrier. They are removing the tedium. They're basically making things more casual friendly for you guys.
God, that's only true in industry.
They are
and Eve is not just industry.
If they added tedium, Caleb, why would a new player want to log in to tedium?
Tedium is like.
Because there's nothing wrong with tedium and grind. Some people like certain types of grind.
Right,
then it's not tedium.
Tedium is not.
If they like it,
they're not
then
the same
not
thing.
Tedium.
And again, if you remove one type of tedium and gameplay from the game to cater to one player, you're losing another. And I'm saying we keep losing more and more players.
But what tedium have they removed that people liked?
Well,
let's just get that answer on record here, Caleb.
Well,
what tedium have they removed from the game that people liked?
Well, the requirements of industry has been reduced to the point where there's hardly any labor left in it.
That doesn't answer my question.
But that is the fucking tedium. That is the requirement. You need less and less hours.
When you say the requirements of industry, what are you talking about?
I'm talking about the fact that you need less and less time to do logistics, less and less time to do mining, to do the same result that you needed 5 years ago, 10 years
That's not tedium, though. The Eric is muted. Eric, check your mic real quick.
Windows. But help me understand. You're saying 5 years ago it was harder to mine than it is today. Are you on fucking crack?
I said that,
Eric's still muted.
I said it has been made easier and easier, and you can see the fucking passage through all the years of Eve. Every single time they make these mistakes of adding too much fucking easy mode into the faucet stocking.
Hold on, time out. Explain to me what easy mode is there for mining right now.
You are all going in the wrong direction.
Let me finish this thought, Sa. Okay, what is easier? Because it was easy to mine 5 years ago, and I could have fun doing it with my buddies.
When you add infinite, if you add 6 to 10 times the capacity of each system because of anomalies being able to be cycled instantly, and then you give them a tool to actually sit there and suck this faucet infinitely without any risk.
We can do that with mining today, and it's easy, and there are hundreds of thousands of people exploiting it.
All right, so
you're going to tell me there's more mining today than 5 years ago.
I'm telling you that the capacity of a system was increased by
It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. You could have infinite stuff in a system.
It does matter.
You're going to tell me that more people are mining today than 5 years ago. Go ahead, make the statement. Yeah, it's either true or false. It was easier 5 years ago, and it's harder now, or it was harder 5 years ago, and it's easy now to mine. Tell me, which is it?
Harder, but again,
it's harder to mine. So they added tedium into mining. It's a pain in the ass, and there are a lot more people doing it. You know what? When they added tedium and risk into mining, everybody fucking stopped and quit the game. If you forgot,
there's a false equivalence here between the grind of doing something. Like, mining is not an inherently engaging thing to do. It's not. But
it is a communal.
Is between tedium and grind, and tedium is not the same thing as grind, because grind is a repeated activity that you're doing for a goal,
which has rewards.
Whatever.
Let's put it this way:
it has rewards. Tedium
mining.
Where they tedium is just boredom. Tedium is like, I need to do this thing, but I really don't enjoy it doing it at all.
Because I did it all day in my job.
Tedium is your fucking taxes, right?
And you're all still going at this from the wrong.
The bottom line is, when you remove things from the game that are communal, you lose.
Yeah.
And mining was communal the way it used to be.
Spending 3 hours in an evening with a beer and chilling with your friends and just chatting shit while you're all mining was a ton of fun. not because of what you were doing, which was a grind. You're mining to build whatever the fuck you build, but it was made. The grind itself was made a lot more enjoyable by the inclusion of other people. The communal aspect of, sure, you're all mining, you're just chilling out, you're just chatting.
That type of mining has not really been popular since before the industry changes and the structures, right? Since
that's
we got
not true. That's false. The structures all existed when mining was still happy and communal.
Wait. You're saying communal mining isn't popular?
Communal mining?
No, it's the only way to do mining that makes it fun, right? Mining's a grind.
That's the only way we mine.
It's literally like the only way.
There's two ways of mining, right? There's two real kind of ways of mining. Either you're communally mining, or you're doing something else while you're mining, i.e., like you're watching fucking Netflix or something.
Can I just say, it makes me furious that all of you are so hellbent on discussing mining. Because mining apparently seems to be the only thing that CCP fucked up in the past 5 years.
No.
It has nothing to do. It has nothing to do with more tedium or being less communal. The thing that changed is that the design philosophy at CCP changed.
Well,
it used to be that CCP.
Like, you've got a point there, but I've got to take off now. So before I go, I just want to make one minor point here, okay? And Caleb, you are free to feel upset about me making this point if you want, but it's not going to change the validity of this point. You're telling us what's wrong with Eve these days, and what is being used and what isn't being used, and what people are doing and aren't doing. But I really have to ask this question. You haven't logged in 3 years. How the hell do you know what people are and aren't doing?
I think because he looks at charts.
That's a fair point. But yeah, right. So to address the Soth's point about, like, we were all talking about mining. Yes, we were, because it's the most obvious example to equate the potential tedium with the potential grind and the false equivalency that Caleb was trying to make. That said, CCP have been fucking with everything on an order of magnitude that we haven't seen since Incarna and the hopefully.
Can I just say something in my defense? I used to do all these things back in the day, all of them. I did a lot of fleet mining. I even did fucking mission grinding. I did market food. I did all of these things. But what happened is that as CCP made these things more streamlined and easy mode, and basically dumb brute force mode, what happened is the value of all of these activities dropped to near nothing. If you're in industry today, you're basically always producing at a loss, right? Everything is just converting other activities, labor into money, but always at a fucking loss. You can't effectively sit there and buy off the market and produce and sell at a profit. That is just not possible anymore. And it's the same with mining. There is no need to mine because the opportunity cost for other things like ratting is retardedly high. So all these things, all the fucking faucets, all the ways that we engaged with the faucets broke. The influx of ISK from the ISK faucets into the game means that ISK is abundant. Well, with the exception of the fucking war bond, because that's big organizational ISK. But fundamentally, ISK is so easy to get that no one needs loans. No one needs collateralized market stuff. No one needs complicated economy stuff. No one needs banking. No one needs any of these things that we used to spend a fuck ton of time trying to create to actually make the game engaging. All of the things that I thought was interesting, all the complexity stuff, has been destroyed in EVE Online. And it's a long list of small things, one little thing at a time. And
yeah,
the
Caleb,
best example is when you make infinite slots, there is no grain, there is no resistance, there is no competition to the availability of the access and utility of production. That means that everything becomes easy mode and just a matter of how many fucking accounts can you add. Because it is the best example of an infinity that CCP has added and don't understand that this is fundamentally destroying the whole idea of an ecosystem.
I mean, it's always dangerous to agree with Caleb, but his point on infinite slots is valid.
And it is similar to what happened with vertical farming. I'm not saying that I'm completely against it. It's just it was a direction that was opposite of what we were promised. So instead of getting an actual moon platform where we had the actual agency and deciding how we would like to farm the fucking areas that we lived in, what we got was anomalies that we could instantly fucking respawn and basically have this vertical farming where there was so much carrying capacity in so few systems. This is what Aerith was trying to explain to people what had happened to the game and why the Delve Time Unit was so funny, right? Because the carrying capacity of Eve had gone up by tenfold. You
make
really
a very
didn't.
Good point, but here's the real deal about why we're not seeing banking structures, why we're not seeing collateralized loans as much, why we're not seeing that player-built system focus as much anymore. And it's because CCP made changes to the game that made people stop playing the game. If you had more people, you would need more player-built structures, and you need more people to administrate them, and things would be more complex without being tedious.
Exactly.
So, if anybody from CCP is listening, please just give us back the ability to I don't know, make our own fun, please. Thank you. The instanced stuff is good for some people, but some of us like the big fights and the silliness that happens in them, and I don't know. It's
because if you look at Eve historically, the main thing was always about, well, again, the ecosystem and the fact that you have death rate and fertility rate. So how many new ships are getting into the game and how many ships are getting killed. And if these things are not somehow moderately balanced, the game doesn't really work. It becomes an accretion machine, and then you're playing it in the same way that you would another MMO. And that's just wrong, because EVE Online's content is us. The content that we get from CCP is meh. It's worthless. It's not really creating anything interesting or drama. Every time other games add a new tier and a new patch and new content and new stories and new voice acting and all that stuff, that's how they keep their thing going. In EVE Online, that's supposed to be when a player backstabs someone, starts a war in Null. This is why I keep saying Null is the only thing that really matters in EVE Online. And I know that people like Ash is going to have a little bit of a hissy fit, but that is the story. That is what creates the long-term story of the game. Because this is why we have 2 actual books written by an actual historian about this game. This does not exist for any other game, because the point is that this is what makes EVE different. This is why people log in. This is why I keep saying the USP of this game is so different from anything else out there that it is almost completely opposite when it comes to what you have to do as a game designer. Instead of reducing something like the grain of tritanium gathering, it should have gone up, because that would reflect the increasing cost of sourcing what is equivalent to fuel in EVE Online. That would have been the correct economic thing to do. Slowly turn these things up, make it more demanding and put more labor hours and more industry slot hours into building Titans. Not necessarily by a factor of 10 from one day to another, but gradually.
What you're doing here, Caleb, is basically saying that CCP need to embrace the fact that they're losing players and adjust things economically as a result of the fact that they are losing players, because that's what adding additional economic inputs to things like battleships and supercarriers and Titans and whatever else is doing. Like, increasing the industrial requirements is basically saying, okay, yes, we have a player base currently that is doing industry at this particular rate, and things aren't being consumed as much because we have a shrinking player base, and so we need to, like, up the economic impacts of that, instead of focusing on the actual problem, which is that we are a shrinking player base. And
well, that's why the problem is compounded.
CCP don't need to worry about the economy. CCP need to worry about the fact that people aren't playing their fucking game because we can't do the things that we used to do for fun.
Well,
because of their consistent, over the last 5, 6, 7 years, focus
is
on
pointing out something
problems.
important, right? You can't just solve it by just fixing one side of the faucet and sink design. You have to basically attack both of them. And literally every single time CCP has approached this, they've done the opposite of what would have been healthy for EVE. And I have basically commented on this for almost 10 years now, because that's about when they started doing this. And I'm just trying to explain that I'm not asking them to do what they did with scarcity. I thought they were going to introduce things like scarcity in the way that they basically promised was the end product, which is dynamic, responsive fucking faucets and sinks. But that's never what we got. We've not had anyone from that ecosystem team talk about how they would even approach something like dynamic responsive faucets and sinks. They can't even figure out how to do dynamic response on something as simple as a loot table by adding some system fucking variables and something that is sensitive to human activity. They fail with the DBS. It doesn't fucking work. And it's fundamentally wrong to even allow this whole balance of trade thing to exist, that you print ISK where they're not supposed to be ISK printing, and vice versa. It's like, it's upside down world every single time. And when I try to explain to people in EVE why wormholes should not print ISK, eventually they get my drift and understand what the fuck I'm saying, but they're right that there is no actual utility value in the stuff that is unique in wormholes anymore. But there used to be, and it used to be the fucking incentive. But they gave them blue loot, and now they're just printing ISK per capita more than anywhere else in the game, and it's just completely broken.
Yeah. The faucets and sinks. The faucets and sinks were fine when we had a player base large enough to support the destruction of assets. Like, yes. The faucets and sinks were never the problem until the player base started shrinking at a more and more rapid rate. If the game were fun to play, as Caviar Liberta has posted in Twitch chat, you address the player base by making the game fun to play. Right? CCP had this idea that, they needed to make 20-minute engaging sessions so people could play on their lunch break, or whatever the fuck was their idea for the abyssal things. And that's fine, do that. But I mean, it's just we are slowly seeing the death of a lot of things that we used to do in EVE.
Because, it's fair that you're saying gameplay needs to be fun, and I'm not disagreeing with that. And I do think that there should be content for people that want to play like Ash, or want to just crawl around casually in high sec and not be fucking ganked all the time. I do agree that there should be fun gameplay, and CCP should definitely look at Ludo mechanics, like actual game design mechanics that are entertaining. But since it's when you're talking about min-maxing, like doing things the best way, the most efficient way, the end level player way, this needs to be harder and harder. This needs to be almost cancerously hard, right? This is why when you're talking about nullsec living and nullsec struggles and fights and big wars, this needs to be potentially painful, because you are now playing the most elite part of the game. Of course, there should be somehow an open door to some casual gameplay, which would be basically a herd of sheep that live with you. But when you're living in that end of the game, this needs to be very, very destructive. Titans and supers in general needs to be extremely expensive and something that is only fielded and possible to field by entities that are of a certain size, and they're supposed to kill other groups of a certain size. If you want access to that, this is not something that you should just be entitled to like heirloom gear. It's something that you need to make yourself worthy of. If you don't understand how to FC, you're not entitled to a Titan. That's just the way it is, because you will just burn it out and waste it.
And none of that is going to solve the dwindling player numbers.
Yes, it is, because the aspirations. No, it's not. It's actually the whole point of the game.
Caleb, I don't think any of that, what you want to bring into the game, would actually help with the current situation of player numbers going down.
Well, again, I know that I might be wrong. That is possible. I'm just saying that Eve in the past was more akin to what I'm talking about. And what I'm trying to explain is that the reason it's fun for someone that is not capable of doing FC level stuff, like yourself, because I fucking am not, right? I have no skills at FCing. But the reason that the game was fun for everyone else, including me, because of what you did, was because what you did was you basically stimulated the fucking economy and the game and the ecosystem and the geopolitics of everything in the game. This is basically the fucking Sorg thing from Fifth Element. Yeah, if there is no destruction of a meaningful scale, there is no activity. That's just how it works.
Why did we go out there and do that, Caleb? You need to look at what the driving factor was behind those people who organized community play, right? If you ask me, the driving factor was always new mechanics and trying to figure out how to apply those new mechanics, right?
But again, you can't argue Ludo mechanics in that casual way or even in that traditional gamer way when you're talking about nullsec geopolitics and conflict. Yeah. Because it's not really what drives you. What drives you is your challenging.
You are telling me that is not exactly what drove me to FC.
I'm telling you that you can't just sit there and try to change game design, because the game design is not why people compete in PvP. That is mastery of a system as it is.
Yeah, but you don't need to compete anymore because all of the mechanics are already figured out, right?
Mm-hmm.
We know which ship types beat which other ship types. We know which weapon systems perform in what way, right?
Artillery, missiles.
We don't need to figure that out anymore, and we haven't had a need to figure that out in the past 5 years. The only meaningful addition we got were the Triglavian ships.
MGFGs.
So the thing with, like, you know, a lot of that is like you're not entirely, you know, you're in the kind of right ballpark there. So like, it's not a case of like, you know, the game design and the game sort of like mechanics are all solved. It's a case of whether those game mechanics require like player skill to be able to master, or whether they just require, like, you know, you to press, you know, whether the act to basically, you know, master that skill is like super easy and doesn't require any kind of like actual player skill.
The thing I'm trying to say here is the thing I'm trying to say here is, if you want to get people excited for the game again, you need to give them something to be excited for, something new mechanics, new ships, new weapons, whatever. You need to give them something they can get excited for, a reason to log in again.
You also need to.
Honestly, I feel like
player decisions more important, and I am going to interject because
yeah,
Soth, you have a point. Absolutely, Mac had a point there too. I'm gonna say words that I've said before, and I'm saying again. This is my soapbox. Holistic fucking balance. We need CCP's game designers to actually take a look, sit down, spend 6 months just looking at the ship tree again. Take a look at every ship class, figure out what it's supposed to do in such a way that hacks perform well against destroyers. Destroyers perform well against whatever the fuck else. Battle cruisers. Battleships are there to fight X. And build a rock, paper, scissors such that if somebody shows up to a fight with hacks, you can then show up to a fight with whatever, kind of counters hacks. But somebody else can show up to that fight with whatever counters you, and then potentially the hacks counter that. And so you're all kind of like jockeying a little bit and trying to figure out what tactic fits that particular fight in such a way that you're not just turning up with, okay, they've brought Munins, so I have to take Munins. Or they've brought Jackdaws, so I don't know, I'll bring, I guess, like some Rapid Light Serbs.
You can develop hard counter, soft counters kind of thing in that situation.
Like, in that sort of situation, you need to have a cyclical thing that means that nobody can have permanent dominance of a field just by turning up in the thing that counters everything. So, like,
and both for that and my point, you need more developers.
Yeah. Back in the day, there was like a rock paper scissors kind of like, doctrinal sort of paradigm where it was essentially Alpha Fleet. It was AHAX, Drake's Alpha Fleet, essentially. Like, that was a very simplistic kind of formation. It worked fairly well for a while. But, it only works up until the point where you can actually bring in, a full force of all three of those on each side, and then it kind of starts to break down a little bit. Like, obviously, with the size of fleets that, the large coalitions and block like level kind of groups can bring nowadays, like, obviously it has to be a little bit, like, it has to be more complex than that. So if you're going to go down that route, like, you need to make sure that, like, you're developing archetypes for, what a shield hack fleet should be, should be able to deal with the strength, basically strengths, weaknesses, opportunities, and threats, right? For each different sort of type.
But it still comes back to fucking entitlement, because everything in the past where you had cost involved has fundamentally been reduced to nothing. And the best example of that, again, the best example of that is what happened when SRP became standardized, where that is the way that most of Null operates. And the fact that the range of what you are willing to SRP no longer had value included. And the best example of this is, again, back to something that I've mentioned many times. When you got actual full fleets of Macarials that can actually be replaced using SRP, you are in the realm of stupid. Now the game is fundamentally broken. The fact that you SRP Titan is actually silly.
That's a function of humanity. Right? What you're saying is that we've developed this thing that works.
It's a function of industrial strength, Caleb, and somebody like you should know this as something that should be part of the game. If there's no
limit to what you are,
you know that there is a limit. You know that there is a limit, dude. Like, so don't say that there isn't a limit. There always is.
I do not have a beef with SRP. I'm just saying that,
like, there's a reason. Like, there is a reason why. No, because I'm literally going to counter what you're saying right now with what I'm about to say. There's a reason why I'm interrupting. Like, there is a reason why the Imperium. There's a reason why the Imperium stopped actually using TFIs, and it's because we couldn't actually deal with having to, constantly SRP. So, like, saying that there is a... Yeah, I know, but I'm making the point... Like, I'm not making the point to him. I'm making the point to the to the audience. Like, there's a reason why, the Imperium stopped using TFIs, is because we couldn't afford and we literally couldn't replace them.
Yeah, Gotfleet.
The same thing,
and that's the Imperium
for fuck's sake. With the Macarials is only a handful of people were allowed to FC them. Same for the rattlesnakes. There was a very small list of FCs who were allowed to take them out, right? And that doesn't say we are happy to lose them. That says we definitely don't want to lose these.
The other thing as well on that front is that they aren't cost effective in a grind war. If you have to be putting battleships on a grid, multiple grids, multiple times a day for a month at a time, you can't do that with Macarials and replenish the losses fast enough. It's just functionally impossible.
And that's with Macarials.
Boltex, random T1 Megathrons can just be... It's the example of, Russians being invaded and driving the tanks out of the factory and shooting them, right? You can do that with Boltex, you can't do that with Macarials. It's... Yeah. There's a hell of a lot in that, but what Caleb was saying about, the development of SRP or whatever, that's just human innovation. We come up with ideas and we test them, and if they're good and they work, we adopt them long term, and other people will see us doing that one thing. SRP was a thing that came from one alliance, basically saying, hey, look, okay, for this thing, we will reimburse these ships. This particular objective, the Alliance deems it so important that we will pay for it. Yeah. And it kind of developed from there. And other people saw that kind of idea and adapted it, and until it got to the point where it is today, where basically to be a functional, attractive group to join, you need to have some sort of SRP system in place. People will will come to you, and sure, there's a lot to do with the community, but the community is about the support that you give to your players as well. So SRP is a big it's a big bonus to have. It's a benefit. And so long term, CCP have just never kind of adapted to player innovation in that kind of sense. I don't. Yeah, as players, we innovate on our structures, the structures that we have access to, and CCP have never kind of realized, okay, so you guys have SRP, that's fine, let's focus on keeping things fun. No, they went, the players have SRP, so the amount of loss, the amount of money that people lose, the amount of risk that people lose when they lose a ship, or lose a fight, is actually quite limited. And they never quite realized that was organizations insulating the individual line member, such that they are still enjoying losing ships. The organization absorbs the loss.
Well, yeah,
and
but
the organization gets paid back through taxes and things, and CCP never figured that wasn't a problem. They looked at that and went, well, players aren't experiencing a loss when they lose a ship in these big fights.
But they are.
So we need to change the economy.
Right,
that's the thing. But the thing is, they are. It's never a situation where SRP doesn't cost anything. It's a function of whether you have a powerful economy, a powerful internal economy to sort of keep up with that kind of stuff. Because when we were going through that war, there were situations where internally the Imperium had to figure out how to fucking deal with the gigantic amount of SRP that we're going to have to deal with throughout that war. That was a function of realizing that we are not a limitless economy, where ships aren't just replaced and it costs nothing, because it does cost something, and you have to figure that out from a very sizable and very from a very big picture sort of scale. right?
Well, a lot of players don't want to deal with the complexity of those systems. They don't want to deal in the problem solving of why the hell. They just want their ships to be, available and undock. And I can see Sothrisol arguing in Discord chat instead of on the stream.
No, I know, yeah.
That's okay.
Soth has made a very good point that I want to bring up, which is that when people can't replace ships easily anymore, they can't fly anymore. And if they can't fly anymore, they stop logging in. And the organizational absorption of those losses, sure, players pay back into that with taxes and but the organization insulates them from the immediate impact of the loss. They don't have to figure out how they get a new ship. They just buy another one off the market, and the organization figures out how to take.
I get that. I think the thing that a lot of people are sort of confusing this is we're not talking about like every single ship, because like we're not we don't generally tend to sort of want to SRP like people's like solo roaming ship. Like when we're talking SRP, we're talking about SRP for strategic ops, that kind of stuff. Like some groups may offer limited amounts of SRP to sort of basically make it a little easier and a little bit less of I hate to use the word because it like triggers people, but like a little bit less tedium to basically get back out and doing something fun, right? If the fun kind of aspect of it is going out and blowing stuff up rather than building stuff, because if your fun is like building stuff, then
build stuff.
The payoff for that is like selling it, right? Building stuff and selling it. And so if you have that like other side of the coin of somebody whose tedium is grinding the money to buy it, then if you offer a little bit of SRP, very very small amounts of sort of for ships that die, then you ease people into that other side of the coin, right? The other side of that, which is go and do something that you find fun, and carry on doing something you find fun, because there's less of a grind when you have to go and grind money up to pay for another one.
People have fun in various ways, right? In a large organization like Goonswarm, you can find your niche and be a contributor in any way that you want. Some people that's just flying fleets. Some people it's not, right?
And people do build for themselves rather than for other people in that regard. So
and I can kind of see that. There's some of that too.
I've done it myself. All but I think one of the Rockals that I have, like I built myself in that regard. Like I built like some freighters myself as well, some regular sort of cruisers and stuff like that myself as well. So like I get that very much. Yes. I'm very much.
However,
I understand that entirely.
SRP is much less about from Alliance perspective. SRP is much less about the personal aspect of it. But if you don't have enough people with enough money to come to fleets and buy ships, you can't protect the homeland.
And so the big picture point of this kind of thing is like industry is interest, you have to, you can't just sort of like from sort of Caleb's kind of point, you can't just base the industry based on the individual pilot. Like I know it's good to sort of look at like the individual pilot and whether it's has a good experience or a bad experience, but you can't basically look at it and kind of go like, well, that small fledgling group of 5 people should be able to have the same sort of industrial capacity and power as this 3,000 man alliance. Like no, the industrial might of that 3,000 person alliance, or 5,000, 10,000, 15,000 person coalition should be significantly huge comparatively.
Absolutely.
You can't go sort of like making changes to stuff to just say like well this is super complex, so we're going to have to make this really easy for these people, that super hard for those people. Like
no, it's just I don't think that's the case. And by the way, we're over time. So I do good discussion, a little yelling and screaming, all nice. I mean, it is. I mean, you know, everybody has their opinion, but I mean, I think we've demonstrably proven over the last several years that as CCP tries to direct and shape the individual's gameplay, no matter what it is, they lose players. Okay? So when they become authoritarian and want you to play the game the way they see, like when they had the big bend toward, hey, we want you in small groups, you know, small fleet fighting all the time, right? Not big fleet fighting. You know, it's just going to be it's not something that that went well for the mass player base. So you can't, in a sandbox, you can't point somebody and say you're going to play the game the way I want to, and you're going to pay me for it. It doesn't work, folks. Right? If I'm going to pay you to play the game, either A, you have to have something that's engaging that I enjoy, or B, it's a sandbox where I play how I want to play. And I don't get told by you, and I don't have your employees, aka developers, community people, whoever the hell they are, telling me, you know, that I'm stupid because I don't see it their way and I'm not playing the game the way they want me to play it. Again, doing that to your player base, you know, it's not why we come to play your game, right? Every single time I see a CCP employee blow their stack, I'm just like, you should be fired, and I don't really care. You're an idiot. You're an idiot because, number one, you don't realize you're talking to a bunch of customers. You're not talking to, you know, somebody else in your alliance that you have a disagreement with. And you're having an emo moment, right? When you have emo moments and you work for CCP and you're yelling at your customers, you're the dumbest person in the world to me. Right? And that goes the same thing when Hilmar does it, right? It doesn't really matter. They all do it. And CCP has a track record of doing it. So, you know, your track record, CCP, of doing certain things and the number of people playing your game seem to go hand in hand. You know, when this game was great and we had a ton of problems, okay, when this game was at its peak, we still had problems, but guess what? People played the game.
And people played the game because they were allowed to play the game by the nature of the game's mechanic.
Right. And we had restricted slots, and we had other things, right? And some people thought they were right, and some people thought they were wrong. I still think there should be a cap on slots. But
oh yeah, me too.
But I didn't do production because, hey, there's just no way to make production profitable. Buying from miners, building your stuff, and then selling it. There's no profit margin in that at all. And I know CCP wants there to be classes of people and people not to do all kind of things. But guess what? Today I want to mine because I'm bored. Tomorrow I just want to do. I'm at war, so I'm not going to mine. I'm just going to go out on fleets all the time and blow shit up because I mined to get all my money so that I could have a time of war and blow shit up.
Yeah, like that, and you kind of touched on one little thing that I wanted to sort of mention as well. It's like, you know, when you make something like harder to do, you need to kind of make the payoff on doing that like that much better. Yeah. You know, it's all very well like making supers and titans super hard to create, but like, you know, it's not like that new titan that comes out has like more bells and whistles than the current titans that like everyone has. Like,
right?
It's just another one of the same. So it's kind of like, you know, so when you have that kind of like that you have that baseline of a titan is just a titan, same as any other titan. You know, you put modules on it to you know, give it utility, whatever, right? But like if you make that super hard, to that process to make it super hard, but then you go and you make that payoff not exactly that worthwhile versus that work that you have to do, and then you go and create something that gives a huge amount of payoff, you know, for such a small amount of time to do in a place that's like super, you know, super safe to do it as well. Then you completely destroy like the, you know, that kind of balance, that, you know, that balance of, you know, do something hard, you get a good do something that's difficult and dangerous, and you get a good payoff, versus doing something that's easy in a safe place and that you don't get a good payoff. Like,
right,
if you break that, then the whole kind of the whole system starts to fall apart. Because people will move towards the path of least resistance, and if it's easier to do that thing in that safer place and it pays more and like gives you more, like than doing that hard thing, they're gonna go there. Yeah,
but you're always gonna have that. There's no perfect balance in a game, folks. I mean, it just doesn't exist.
But you can provide a gradient,
right?
And people can find where they are on that gradient, where they prefer to sit.
And it doesn't matter what game it is, we're going to figure out how to min max it no matter what, because we can, because we're players.
Yeah, some people enjoy that, figuring out how to min max. Some people enjoy just the experience, and
it's fine. It's fine figuring out how to min max. If min maxing requires a shit ton of actual like human reactive, reflexive, and like multitasking skill, that's the that's the balance there. Like, and then in that kind of sense, like you don't need to worry about like whether something is solved or people min maxing, because if people are min maxing because they have the skill to be able to min max, awesome, they have that skill.
Yep.
But it's hard. It's not something that is capable, possible by everybody.
Yeah, and the so we really should kind of wrap it up. It's 3:12 our time, so it's less than 50 minutes to the meta show.
And you got 15 minutes more of us.
Yeah.
So the question is, will will Brisk actually be able to do the meta show?
Whole chip.
Because he did the whole chip and nothing but the chip, so help him God. By the way, that all kind of makes sense, doesn't it? He needs a little help from God now. So let's go around and do one last thing. Can we start with you, Dirk?
I don't know what else there is to say, really. Like, Eve is in a weird place right now, and I hope we can kind of like, I hope CCP, like, the ball is in their court as ever for them to actually make decisions that can kind of bring people back into the kind of community. But yeah,
they've got to bring them together.
It's in a sorry state right now, and they've got to start listening and not thinking that they are constantly the ones with the best ideas, because historically they've kind of proved themselves to be the ones just fucking everything up. I forget who said it earlier on, but I think it might have been you, Eric, but the decisions that are being made and the way the player base and the player count is going is definitely indicative of there being a correlation. CCP's game changers are not keeping people around.
Mm-hmm. Yep. Soth, are you still with us?
Yeah. I do want to point out here, and we do point this out from time to time, we aren't saying these things because we hate the game. We are saying all of this because we love the game, right? We are passionate for Eve, even still. I mean, hell, Dirk and I are organizing anger games, right? We are still organizing a major tournament for a game that we think is dying right now, because we don't want it to die. So please, CCP, if any of you are listening, we are saying this because we want the game to be still there in like 5 years, 10 years, right?
4 people in the channel, more than 40 decades worth of years playing Eve, in some way, shape, or form. We want to help. We're trying to help. You just need to listen, unfortunately.
And we may argue and everything like that, and it may get pretty heated, but it's because we're passionate about it. And like, you should read into that is a positive thing, not a negative thing.
It starts with a click. Mom, these videos are
sorry about that. Something started playing. How about you, McLeod? Last thing.
I wanted to address the whole 3 body problem thing, and like, why, basing your decisions of a, why basing decisions on somebody like some singular person's interpretation of like what a group of people or societies and sort of civilizations would do in this situation or that situation is wrong. It's because ultimately a lot of people ultimately a lot of people, whether they're super intelligent or not, like fundamentally can't predict what a large group of people will actually do. You know, one of the reasons why basing decisions for Eve based on the three body problem is because you're not interacting like the three body problem as a novel. Like it's one of those things where like if you want something as the author of the novel to happen, you can just make it happen. Like even if it's absurd and ridiculous that would happen, like you can still write it in that happens. And so fundamentally, if you're basing decisions of a game that actually has a ton of human beings making decisions about certain things, based on the scenarios and the situations that they're in, on a book that essentially is one person's interpretations of like what groups of people might do, you're gonna find yourself vastly like miscalculating what needs to happen for group, what needs to change or what you should change about something to cater for groups, because people don't react the way that you would hope them to react. They react the way that they want to react, and that's reality.
And just for anybody in Twitch chat who hasn't actually read The Three Body Problem, it's a very dystopian place. The reason that they do their whole like stagnation and kind of dry themselves up for years at a time isn't want to or because it's positive. It's because they literally physically have to. It's not a place people want to be. It's a place that they are in because they have to be, because they didn't have a choice. So, like,
and fundamentally, we don't have that issue, right?
Yeah, we can leave.
We can go somewhere else.
Online
we can go
very very simply if we wanted to. It's get up and walk away.
We can take our friends and play something else.
So yeah, it's
There's always the next game.
I'm not saying that is what we would do, but I'm just saying that because the option exists, the drive that people have to do certain things is different in reality, with Eve versus like, in the three body problem.
Yeah, I mean, and I look at it this way, right? Goons have a community, so it's a little different for us, right? We're not necessarily going to disappear from the game completely because, hey, we have a homeland to defend. And even if we haven't logged in for several months, if, Pappy starts to get together and attack the homeland again, guess what? We're all going to log in again and start running fleets. Just the way it is, folks. Okay? It's a little different there, but the general population is what we're talking, right? And if you sit there, a game is a place to be because I want to be there, not because I want to have a second or third job in this case, right? Not because I want to have a third job that I have to grind in order to play the game, right? I don't come to a place where the developers berate me. I don't come to a place where the CEO berates the player base, right? It has to be it's like going to the pool with all your friends and having a party, right? You go because you're going to have fun, not because you're obligated to go, right? And until CCP figures that out, okay, they're not going to be successful. That's my last thing.
Nice.
So, yep. And it's 3:20, so we got to run. So thank you everybody for another wonderful weekend. I do look forward to this every week. It is kind of my fun. So so thanks, and thanks Soth and Caleb and Dirk, Cloud, Arendus, and even the young lass for showing up for a little bit, and happy birthday to Dawn. All right. See you, everybody. You have a great weekend, and we will see you here next week. All right.
See you later, guys. Meta show in 40 minutes.